Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. We are here with Peter Vekselman, who is from partnerdriven.com. And Peter's passion is to break down those barriers that hold you back from becoming a real estate investor. Peter has helped hundreds of new and seasoned investors. So we're going to find out about Peter's secret sauce, how you can market yourself, having a presence on social media, and all of the above, and etc. So Peter, glad to be talking to you.
Good to be here, Robert. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, and I'm excited to jump in. And so what is your shtick? What is the elevator pitch? If someone says, I have 60 seconds to know what makes you tick and how you can help me, what's the answer?
Yeah, great question. So basically what I do is I provide the pillars of success that somebody needs to be a successful real estate investor. I've done about 3,600 real estate deals. All of my deals are with partners across the United States. We coach them. We spend money right where they live. We generate leads for them. We provide 100% of the capital to close on these deals. We generate leads for them and opportunities. Our construction team helps them fix it. We put it in the market, sell it, split the profits down the middle, 50-50. That's the model, and that's what I do.
Well, fantastic. And so where are people missing the boat with real estate these days? Is it with the lead generation, or is it with not having the team or the follow through? Like, where do so many people fail where you succeed?
Yeah, that's a great question. The sad truth is real estate investing as a whole, believe it or not, Robert, only has about a 3 to 5% success rate. It's hard to believe because everybody wants to be in real estate, right? But very few people actually ever become. And the reason for that, the missing link, is not any of the pieces you mentioned. It's all the pieces you mentioned. What I mean by that is this: a traditional wannabe real estate investor immediately faces a problem. And the problem is very simple. They have to piecemeal this business together. So they get education in one place. They get the lead generation or marketing somewhere else. They get their technology somewhere else. They get their information somewhere else. They get their money somewhere else. They meet with the local contractor somewhere else. They get a realtor somewhere else, and they literally try to fit this together. And Robert, it's no different than me showing up at your house and saying, listen, let's go build a Rolls Royce by going all the junkyards around where you live. You can't do it. But in real estate, that's exactly what's required. So all these people go out there and they try to put these pieces together, not understanding how they fit, what kind of marketing to use, what kind of capital to use, what kind of training to get. And when they put it together, it just doesn't fit. And so we've solved that problem here by literally putting everything under one roof. And this is why we train under one roof, spend money marketing under one roof. I provide all the capital on one roof. It's literally a one-stop shop. And so we basically break down the biggest problem that the real estate investor faces out there, is that there is no assembly line. There is no coordinated efforts in this business, but we do assembly line, do it here, and we do coordinate all the pieces. And this is why we're 3,600 deals into this thing now.
Well, fantastic. And so I follow a lot of these real estate type of guys on social media. And is it just me, or is it very personality driven? It seems like with a lot of these like real estate superstars that talk a lot, they have their own way, like their own method. Like some of them are about the tax deeds, or some are about the renting out apartments, or some are flippers. And it seems like, well, the whole piecemealing you're talking about, you're taking all these really extreme, strong personalities, and there's sometimes conflicting advice. So I can definitely see how these upcoming real estate investors out there need to have this unified resource where it's all in one place.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's personality driven, but you know what it really is driven by? Who's got the bigger money to scream the loudest? And usually whoever does spend the most money on marketing and screaming the loudest, they get the most attention. And it's not for the fact that they're the smartest. They could be. It's not for the fact that their techniques and strategies are the best, although they may be. It's just simply they tend to outspend the rest. And this is why what I do, when people listen to what I do, it speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I don't have to be the loudest guy out there. I don't have to be the person that makes the most noise out there. I simply have to present what it is we do. And when people understand this partner-driven model, it speaks for itself. But you're right. And that's the other problem. Who do you go with, right? It can't be just a personality, kind of like I like this guy as opposed to that guy. Well, that doesn't mean the guy you like is the right guy. And that's what I'm saying. It's a very complicated business. That's the other thing that people have to understand. It's not just a matter that it's complicated. It's what is the right thing for you to choose. It's like saying, you know what, I know you need brain surgery, but we're not going to give you any more information other than just good luck. Go get them, Tiger. Go to a bunch of doctors. Well, that's a difficult one to figure out. How do I know which one to go to? How do I know who I could trust? To a degree, that's how real estate is. So that's when we bring it under one roof. And the comeback to what I say could be, well, how do I know you have the right roof, Pete? Because you're just one of those people. Well, there's only one thing that separates me from all of those people, but that's the key piece. I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to back my students financially. Everybody else will teach you in exchange for money. I'm going to do something more. I'm not only teach you, I'm going to invest money into your market, help you find things, but most importantly, I'm going to give you the money to do things. And so that's how confident we are, and I am in what it is we do and how we do it.
Well, and that sounds great. And like you mentioned kind of at the top of our conversation there, how you help with the lead generation, and you don't hear about that a lot, right? You hear like, well, you need to like knock on doors or send some letters. And a lot of the times you're left on your own as far as getting the leads coming in. So let's say someone joins your program, they're a student of yours. What's the starting point for them? And what are the first steps? Like, do they need to have a certain amount of like money to start investing, a certain time commitment? What's the jumping off point?
Well, first of all, before I get into that, I want to address something you said before then. It's not just a knocking on doors. It's not just that. What most people don't realize about real estate, everybody understands it's a fluctuating business. Everybody knows it goes up, it goes down. Money's easy to get, money's hard to get. Inflation, deflation, high interest rate. So everybody knows real estate fluctuates. But what they don't know is the internal parts of real estate fluctuate. For instance, on the marketing side, what people don't realize is marketing changes also. Meaning 6 months ago, you could potentially go and knock on doors wherever it is you live and generate some opportunities. Right now, you may not be able to do that. And that's a very important piece to realize. Most people, when they choose these pieces, they just kind of randomly put them together based upon what they heard, what they think works. They don't realize there's some pieces inside this business that worked 6 months ago that no longer work. That's just, I wanted to piggyback off what you said. Really, to be successful with someone like myself, the best way I could describe it, you got to want to level up in life. You got to want to make more money. You got to want to create a bigger lifestyle, because that's what real estate investing really is all about. It's getting people to those next levels. Very few people get into real estate investing to say, well, you know what? I'm making $100K in my job. I'm just going to replace it with real estate. Very few times does that happen. It's, hey, I'm making $100K in my job. I'm not happy. I'm miserable. I have no time. I have no control. I'm not where I want to be. I want to get to the next level. And that's where someone like myself, and that's where I come in. So you got to be willing to put the time. You got to be willing to put the effort. You got to be a long-term player, because nothing happens overnight. You got to be coachable, and you got to want something that you currently aren't getting in whatever it is that you're involved with and whatever it is you're doing.
I like that a lot. That shows like some self-awareness of all of our psychologies, right? That if you're looking into real estate investing, there's probably and hopefully some sort of an urgency to improve your current situation, right? You're not just saying, oh, well, real estate sounds good. No, like you don't like your job. You're worried about retirement. You want to just kind of do better than just getting by. And then, like you said, when then it becomes time to build up that real estate income, what the heck would be the point of saying, I've got this $100K a year job. Let me do all this work just to get back to where I'm at. You want to have the perpetual growth. You want to have more. And when you see some of these guys, when they work the long hours or they do the renovations or they do all the paperwork to get the deals made, they're putting in a lot of work for the big long-term results. So a lot of that makes sense. And so kind of give us an idea of what sorts of actions that your community and your students go through, do you have any fun success stories to kind of give us a feel of what it's like when someone finds you and they use your mentorship and they use your training and then they get somewhere? What's the story of someone who was at point A and with your help they got to point B?
Sure. Well, first of all, the first question you asked in terms of trajectory, it's literally a step-by-step process, because real estate is, believe it or not, a step-by-step process. So we get people all the way from day one, onboarding them into those steps, and then on a daily basis, helping them implement the steps, providing the tools and resources and all this. But yeah, I mean, I got tons of stories all the way from a kid. All the way from a guy I just got off the phone with, literally, Robert. His name is Seth. Seth's still in his 20s, met me a couple of years ago. Believe it or not, he was 3 months away from getting married back then. Had very limited, zero experience, limited money, limited knowledge, limited. Literally texted me a picture of him flying in a plane. I said, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "Dude, you don't get it. This is my plane." We've done 150 deals in the last couple of years. To helping somebody, a partner of mine out of Destin, Florida, 21-year-old kid, making $1,500 a month at a bank. He said, "I just got to do one deal. Show me how to do." Average deal could make somewhere between 20 to 60,000. He said, "Pete, help me do one deal. I'll never go to work again." And that's exactly what happened. To just a single mom from Miami, Florida, Denisha, 6 kids, single mom. And just an incredible success story. And, you know, put in the effort, literally did the door knocking that you're talking about to find the first 3 deals. Matter of fact, on her 3rd deal, she was so excited. She's like, "Don't wire me the money, my half." They get half. "I'm flying to Atlanta." She came to Atlanta, gave me a big kiss on the cheek and grabbed that check. Like a Patricia Newberry, a police officer, you know, worked for a department her whole life, was not what you would call the most articulate is not a good word, most personable person you can imagine. Somebody who's worked in the law enforcement all life, they get kind of hardened. And within the first 45 days, we did a smaller deal. And then 90 days into it, we did a deal where we made over $200,000. And you know, or Ed Lindsay, who started with me a little time back and literally got fired the month he started, you know, unbeknownst to him. And he's like, "Pete, what do I do? Do I go look for another job?" You know, he's in his 60s. "Or do I go for it?" And you know, we talked, figured it out, and he went for it. And you know, within the first couple months, over $48,000 in his pocket. Or a guy named Jamari Spruill here in Atlanta, actually. Jamari used to, believe it or not, Robert, he used to give blood for a living. I mean, literally, he would give plasma every couple months. A couple times a month, just to make ends meet. We've done 17 deals since then. I mean, just an incredible success story. So I could tell you story upon story upon story like that of just everyday people, you know, they just want to level up. It's the best way I could describe it. You know, it's kind of sick and tired. You know, it's the cliches, but cliches, they work. It's that sick and tired of being sick and tired, but willing to do something about it. Not just talk about it, not just kind of wish it or not just hope it, but actually do something about it. And that's the story of my partners.
Well, I love it. And there's some amazing stories that you shared there. And so you mentioned about how there's some of these things about there's like you said the onboarding and the implementation and the tools. And I know that you said it's a step-by-step process, but I'm sure there's a lot of steps involved. But is there a way in our conversation here for you to explain in like a 3 or 4 minutes, like start to finish in a really high level overview, like what kind of motions does a person go through to make these real estate deals happen?
So here's the thing about real estate. And by the way, this is another kind of, you could say, bad thing about real estate, why there's so little success rate. There's a lot of moving pieces in real estate. There really is. And most people, unless they get into real estate, they don't understand all the moving pieces. They kind of just see, well, I got to find a deal and then I'll do the deal and then I'll make a bunch of money. There's a lot of moving pieces and there's a lot of skills and talents that are really needed to accomplish them. Well, reality is when somebody partners myself and my team, we handle about 90% of those. We handle the closings, the inspections, the paperwork, the contracts, the rehab part, the sale part, and really the steps. There's only really one step in real estate that makes you money, and that's talking to owners. That's it. Nothing else. All those other things need to be had, but talking to owners is really what makes you money. So the best way to look at what needs to be done in our world, but also in the world, if you want to do this yourself, you have to have a system for getting to these owners. My back office handles the rest of the stuff. And so the steps are, we teach the beginning, the partner that starts us in the beginning, we script them very quickly. Okay, here's what you say. Number 2, we get into lead generation. That's where we get involved. So we set up opportunities for that new partner to start connecting with the owners. And then we just start teaching them. Here's what you say. Here's how you negotiate the deal, blah, blah, blah. That's it. That right there is what makes you money in this business. And the goal is to get as many deals under contract as possible. Because ultimately, he who controls real estate makes the most money. So pretty much 95% of the training that's done is that. Here's how you communicate with owners. Here's how you negotiate with owners. Here's what you say to owners. Here's how you structure deals with owners. It's all about that, because that's what makes money. That's the only thing that makes money, by the way. And our team handles all the back other stuff that, by the way, Robert, needs to be done, but doesn't make you money. So it's all about connecting with owners and putting deals together.
Well, sales basically, right? And it's like that can be kind of a loaded word, but you're talking about there's like the lead generation piece, and then there's the talking to owners, which like it is sales, but the way that you're presenting it is it can be very kind of like low key and negotiating and be a numbers game. And then the kind of final piece, then when your team does like kind of the product side, right? Like the service and the implementation. And so yeah, this is a great conversation we're having, talking about real estate and work ethic and your program. And we've kind of touched lightly on some of the success traits that some of these people have had, like you're mentioning this concept of wanting to level up, of wanting more, of using maybe the past transferable skills you've acquired from careers into kind of building a better future. But us human beings, we're worried about the danger, the fear, what could go wrong. And so in all of your experience with your students and with real estate, have you seen 1 or 2 big mistakes that people make from real estate that we should just be aware of to avoid moving forward?
Yeah. So number 1 is this: real estate, as you and I both know, is a huge upside, but real estate is a devastating downside. I mean, you could sneeze the wrong way in this business and lose $10,000. And nobody quits or gets out of real estate because they're making too much money. Almost 100% of people quit or get out of real estate because they make those mistakes. And so I'll answer your questions 2 ways. Number 1, there's a lot of mistakes to be made, such as getting in over your head, doing too big of a deal, structuring something that's complicated, doing too big of a rehab. You know, in the beginning, you should always stay small, because the smaller, let's say the rehab, the smaller the house that you're doing, the smaller the profit, but also the smaller the risk that you're going to have in the back end. But here's the real answer to your question. If someone partners with me, I assume all the liability. Because here's the crazy thing about all of this, Robert. After 3,600 deals, believe it or not, I and my team still make mistakes for various reasons. And but if a mistake is made, I assume all the liability. So in my world, when somebody partners with me, they get 100% of the upside, and I take away 100% of the downside. So I call it a near perfect setup, and it really is for somebody that wants to be in the real estate investing business.
Well, great. And you hear people pay lip service to this whole idea of like, have a coach, have a mentor, and have a support team. And sometimes they don't really mean it. And so it's cool that you have this system, this program here, so that way someone does not have to go this alone, and that this real estate deal does not have to be their first real estate deal because they're relying on you and your team. Like you hear about, like John Rockefeller said something like, instead of having 100% of one, I'd rather have 1% of 100 things. Or like the TV show Columbo, there's always a murder, and the person who's the murderer, it's their first time doing a murder, but it's Detective Columbo's like 1,000th time investigating a murder. He's been around the block. He's seen these things. Many of these things are natural. So a lot of this makes a lot of sense. And you said that at the beginning, your website is partnerdriven.com. And so is that the next step? If someone says, I've been thinking about real estate investing, I really want to take this seriously, I know I need a team, should they go to the front page of that website, or is there a different special resource or next
Probably
step?
one of the best ways to get a hold of me, actually, Robert, is through my social media. I got a pretty big online presence. They can go to like my Instagram account, instagram.com/Peter Vekselman. I'm sure you'll have it somewhere in the description, but instagram.com/Peter Vekselman. Then they could see kind of how I think, how I operate. And then all they got to do is just click the link on my bio, and it's a way for them to connect with myself and my team. Or they could go directly to the website, partnerdriven.com also.
Okay, so we'll spell a couple of those things out. We'll say partnerdriven.com. That's partnerdriven.com. And then Peter Vekselman, that's first name Peter, last name Vekselman. Like you said, Peter, we'll have the link, but you never know if someone's just watching or listening. So always good to have that in your head. So at the very least, depending on what your level of awareness out there is in podcast land, at the very least, add Peter on Instagram. That way you can be hooked into his social media and his posting and see what he's all about. So we'll see you on Instagram where you add Peter Vekselman. And so Peter, as we wrap up and wind down our conversation, it's always good to end on a high note. So in all your decades of experience in life, in business, in real estate, do you have any big parting words of advice, anything just like really helpful that you wish you heard years ago to help send us on our way?
Well, I'll tell you, when I got started 23 years ago, I actually went backwards. I went backwards about 8 months to the point of pretty much making myself homeless. And at that point, 8 months into it, I learned what to this day I still say is the key to my success, and what I call the ultimate shortcut to success. And that is the pillar of alignment. It's all about alignment in life. Too many people try to get better themselves, work harder themselves. It's all about them. I want to be smarter. I want to work harder. I want to this and that. But really the key, Robert, is the ability to align with people that are more successful. And I can tell you from that day on, 22 years ago now, I spent all my time aligning. It's all about alignment for me. And for anyone listening here to you today or to us today, if they buy into that, and instead of trying to do everything themselves or wish they could do things, they spend their time looking for people that are more successful and align themselves with it. That right there is the ultimate key to success.
I love it. The ultimate key to success is alignment. And so for you to get to alignment, add Peter Vekselman on Instagram and check out partnerdriven.com. We will see you there. And thanks, Peter, for showing up and compacting like 2 hours of content into our little interview. I appreciate it very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Robert.